Greetings, ACTIVZ family, and welcome to the April Founders Zoom. I hope you are all having a wonderful April. Had a great March. I'm joined as always by my partner, David Brown. Welcome to this. If this is your first Zoom, David and I like to do this on the 15th of every month. We love to highlight where we've been and where we're going. You know, a little bit about some of our most interesting moments of the previous month. And David, as you will surely attest, last month was amazing, and not just because of a great month in terms of volume and revenue and growth, but what you and I had an opportunity of doing with many of the leaders of the company, and it's probably a pretty good place to start because I wish I was on that cruise right now. I don't know about you.
I thought you were talking about the interview that the direct selling news did with you and me, and the undoubtedly thousands of people that joined us in listening to that wonderful interview. That I thought that's what you were talking
You're
about.
right. That was an amazing interview.
So I think
not that amazing. Not that amazing.
No,
But the trip we took was amazing.
But we did do it, and we were featured because, frankly, we're one of just a handful of companies that have been showing growth over the last 4 years that they measure. But again, I kind of hated to bring it up because we might be one of even a smaller number, undoubtedly, that have shown growth every single year that we've been in existence. And that was kind of culminated by what you referred to. The cruise that we took, beginning in Panama and going to Cartagena, Colombia, Curacao, Bonaire, Aruba, all of these exotic sounding places that people just kind of think about and say, man, that would be really cool to go there someday. That would be awesome. And I think it kind of encapsulates, or it's kind of a microcosm of what we're trying to do here at ACTIVZ, Ryan, because how many of us think about things that we'd really like to do if we just had the right vehicle to do it, the opportunity. And of course, speaking literally, the boat called the Rhapsody of the Seas from Royal Caribbean was the vehicle that we used to get from place to place. But metaphorically speaking, the vehicle was ACTIVZ. And for us and nearly 180 or 200 people, I don't remember exactly, between all distributors and spouses and corporate and family members and things like that, we had the opportunity together. For all of us, I don't think that there was anyone that I came across that had been to any of those things together before. So we had this opportunity for all of us to have a first-time experience together, and that was awesome.
Yeah, that was awesome, and that was certainly my highlight of the month. It was great because it was, we had a long drum roll leading up to it. This last year, qualifiers qualified. They worked really hard, in the year where we, doubled our growth. And so it was a well-deserved trip, certainly by all of those who worked so hard to qualify. I loved how many people had members of their family with them. That was really cool. I haven't seen that many distributors bring their families before. I mean, we always have lots of kids and stuff, but this time it really gave more new meaning to ACTIVZ family because it was a real blend of literal families along with the ACTIVZ family, and that was definitely a highlight and a great way to kind of get out of the doldrums of winter and jump into spring and come home and it's April. And so that was certainly a highlight. And I think it's worth underscoring, why we do that. I found lately that I've been saying this on a lot of our Spanish Zooms is, people like trips. They love to take trips, weekend trips, momentum escape trips. But, as a reminder, we do that. We do these trips. Yes, trips are great, right? But it's just to give all of the people who qualify sort of a glimpse or a small taste of what is in store for them down the road. As you grow your ACTIVZ business, as you expand your footprint and get bigger and bigger, your rank advance. What we experience on the cruise and what everyone experienced on the cruise, it really is just a glimpse of things to come. If you were to interview, any of you were to interview our A16s, it was fun being with Christina on that because we sat at the same table at night for dinner with her sons and my family. David, you were right next to us. We got to hear about other trips that she's going on and has gone on recently. And it really is true, those incentive trips are just a glimpse of things to come in terms of lifestyle, in terms of choices, in terms of not having the same economic fears and concerns that, many people have, when they're newly starting their active businesses. So, if you want to reach that lifestyle, a great way is just qualify for the incentive trips, right? They start conditioning your brain. They start actually changing, in Spanish we say your chip, right? Start getting that paradigm shift of saying, you know what, maybe I can do this. Maybe I really am deserving of this kind of lifestyle. And you keep working, you keep building, and the more trips you qualify for, the bigger your business will get, the more you'll make, the more time freedom you'll have. So as a reminder, that's why we do trips, right? It's not that we just like taking vacations. While vacations are nice, it really is to help people believe more in their own ability to achieve, right? And to look forward to what awaits them.
Well, it's really much more than the trip, like you said, and people qualifying from a variety of backgrounds. You might think, oh, well, it must just have been all the higher ranks. No, we had a number of people who have not yet achieved their goals in terms of becoming A16s or even A10s, that are still working up the ladder, so to speak.
Yeah.
But there's all types of companies that offer rewards, to trips and things like that, inside and outside of direct selling, or somebody that enters a contest and wins a trip somewhere or something like that. That happens. But how often does it happen, Ryan, where while you are on your trip, you're making money? After the trip is over, you're making money. And in fact, let's face it, as fun as trips are, they don't pay the bills. They don't get your kids through college. They don't do those. They don't make the car payment. But everything that you did that resulted in you going on a trip actually does do that. Well after the footprints on the sand have been washed away by the waves, that check is still coming in the mail. And that's what I think is really the cool part of this. And to think of people who had never been. I bet the vast majority of people who are on that trip had never been on a cruise before, even the high ranks who are doing other things. And so I just don't underestimate the value of these first time seminal, important moments in people's lives, and to experience them together and to realize that but for ACTIVZ, this does not happen. And it really is so if anybody, all the critics out there, all the naysayers, all the people on the sidelines who are saying, oh, this stuff never works. Nobody ever, we've got, hundreds of people just on that trip that say, you're crazy, and any number of people who are on the verge of being able to go on the next one because of the next momentum escape, next momentum deluxe, all of these things that, like you say, they're short-term rewards for effort that's going to yield long-term results. And that's my favorite part of that.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, last month was, a meaningful month for us and for a lot of people watching this and building their active businesses. We had a couple new legacy A11s rank advance last month. We had A9s. We had a bunch of A8s. I think we had 11 A8s last month and a ton of other ranks. 7s and 6s and so on and so forth. So congratulations to those of you who ranked advanced last month. I'll say this, just kind of what really stood out to me more than the cruise, David, it was a couple conversations that I had there. And I loved the conversations, all the side meetings that we had, and people would ask, if we could talk for a few minutes. On our last Friday, it was our last day at sea. Excuse me. I sat down with a lot of different groups of people, and I'll just say this: this trip for me, it kind of symbolized, I'm not sure what it symbolized, but a lot of men chose to join their wives on this trip, if that makes any sense. I think you know what I mean by that, but what I mean to everyone watching, when someone qualifies for a trip, we pay for them and their spouse or their significant other to join them. And most of our distributors are women. We're close to 80%, probably high 70s. But behind them is a supportive husband sometimes, and oftentimes. And I've gotten to know them, David. You've gotten to know them over the years at trips. But more and more of them have gotten off the bench and into the game, and they're now building the business with their wife. When years ago they weren't. 3 years ago they weren't. 4 years ago they weren't. And in two cases, excuse me, the first situation. The first story was Paulina de Leon, who's one of our leaders in Saltillo, northern Mexico, and her husband Roberto asked to meet with me. We ended up having quite a lengthy conversation. She's been building this from the very beginning. She's had highs and lows, and now she's really on a growth spurt, and she has an incredible team that's working alongside her. And her husband, who I don't know, I've met him before, wanted to talk, and we had this whole conversation. He said, it's time for me to start supporting Paulina and to start really building this. I've seen what she's doing. I've seen her passion. I've seen her success. And I feel like I'm just, an anchor dragging behind her. And I could pull up that anchor and I could get in the boat and I could start paddling and we could grow together. I said, that's fantastic. We'd love to have you build an ACTIVZ business. And he works at a company that he's worked hard at for years, and he does well at it. But his biggest concern, and he got a little bit emotional talking to me about this, is he says, we finally had our first child, a little girl, after years of trying, and she's not even 1 year old. I think she's 8 months old right now. And he says, and what I'm realizing now that I have, a baby, have kids, I never see her. Right? I leave in the morning and I don't get home till late at night, and I miss all the good stuff. Right? I miss all the good stuff with Paulina and with this baby. And if I don't make a change, nothing will change. Right? And it's likely that I will miss my daughter growing up. And so we talked a lot about how to transition into this kind of a business where you're working for yourself from your home on the hours that you set, where sometimes that can be off-putting and scary for people who are accustomed to showing up at a job every day, right? And whether you're clocking in or out or you're on a salary, there's a certain structure that we can rely on in a traditional business. And so we talked a lot about that. Talked about the importance of having daily plan of action, of making sure you plan your week and your days in advance. You don't just try and do things in the nooks and crannies or in your spare time, but you schedule it part-time, which means it's scheduled. We talked a lot about that. We talked a lot about like what you would need to make in order to transition full-time into this. So we ended up putting this whole plan together with Roberto and Paulina, and Roberto and I were doing most of the talking. And towards the end, Paulina was getting very emotional because she was seeing her husband and his enthusiasm and excitement and commitment to her, first of all, and secondly, his willingness to do something that would help them as a family more. Right? It would bring him home. So that was a highlight for me, David. That being able to sit down with Paulina and Roberto. The other one, quickly, was the day that we were on the beach after our soccer game, and we were having the barbecue on the beach with everybody there, and it was just such a great time because we were eating and then swimming in the ocean and just hanging out and everyone getting to know each other. A woman who I hadn't met asked to talk to me, and her husband, who I do know, she sent him away, said, "You can't be in this conversation." And in my mind, I'm like, uh-oh, what are we going to talk about? And so she had him go play in the ocean. And as a good, obedient husband, he did as his wife told asked him. But she went on to talk to me, and she immediately got emotional. And she said, I want to thank you and thank ACTIVZ for for all of this. And I said, she's like, but not for the product, not for like, I know people talk about the product a lot, the technology, they talk about what they're earning with the comp plan. She says, I've gotten my husband back. And she went on to explain that since he's been building ACTIVZ, right, and he's been really plugged into what we do, he participates in our active schools, our ACTIVZ academies. I've gotten to know him over the last few years. She says, my husband that I once knew has come back. He is so much more committed to the family. He's so much more interested in me. He's so much more interested to talk about what our goals are and what we want to accomplish. And he's really looking to the future. And for years, he was checked out and not doing that. And she said, the only change is his excitement and his focus on ACTIVZ. And she was very emotional. It was very hard for me to not get choked up. And I was grateful for that moment because it was the first time, especially on that trip, but in a long time that I looked at ACTIVZ differently. And I realized that in many cases, we are doing that. In many cases, we are bringing people together, bringing families together, because we're all running for the same goal. And it's hard to not unite and not to be committed to each other when we all are running for the same objective. And especially when you do that as a family, and especially when you do that as a couple. So without naming names, I'm very grateful for her. And that was absolutely the highlight of my last month.
Yeah, it was amazing. I think that it served to build belief again, because even
Yeah.
among those people, Ryan, who had qualified, maybe from the time that they qualified to the time that we actually took the trip, maybe things had plateaued. Maybe they hadn't
Yeah.
kept that pace up. And so they were starting to doubt themselves again and getting back together in the group and saying, oh, yeah, that everybody needs a reminder. Why did I do this in the first place? What am I doing? And it kind of recommitted them. And like you say, I heard this over and over again myself, that the spouses, some of whom were supportive, some of whom were kind of lukewarm and at least not anti, and some of whom were pretty skeptical and didn't really, but once they got together and it was good for them to see other members of ACTIVZ. It was good for them to meet the corporate team and just kind of get a feel for what is this ACTIVZ company all about.
Mm-hmm.
And I think everyone, whether they had previously been really super involved or not, went away saying, oh, man, I'm so glad I'm part of this company. I'll give you another example is Jeff Boast. This is the first time that we've taken a member of our advisory board on a trip. It's not going to be the last one by any means, but he didn't know what to expect. I will say that he and Dr. Maroon, as they have participated in any of our events, have always gone away saying, oh, you have great people in your company. This is really a lot of fun. But that's different than being able to spend 24/7 for a week,
Mm-hmm.
rubbing shoulders with people. And I think that not only did he give a great presentation that everybody loved, and we're going to make a version
Mm-hmm.
for other people to have available because it was really fascinating.
Oh yeah.
Introducing some new information about the power of our products that we hadn't really talked about before.
Yeah.
But in addition to that, it opened his eyes. It opened the eyes of his wife Kathy, and I think it just, it's. I think it just told everybody, and hopefully this is what people get, the deeper that they jump into the ACTIVZ pool, so to speak, is saying, this is real. We aren't blowing smoke. When we say that people can accomplish their financial goals through the very generous compensation plan that we've set up, we not only mean it, but we've got examples, many, many examples that demonstrate it. When we talk about our products, it's not just made up stuff. We've got the research, we've got the scientists, and again, we have the testimonials of those who are benefiting from it. And when we talk about, like you say, the ACTIVZ family, we take that seriously. We laugh with you, we cry with you, we rejoice with you, and we want to strengthen and advance with you. And I think that's really one of the takeaways. And what was also amazing, going, kind of putting the corporate hat on again, in terms of how well we did in March, despite the fact that, it was Easter, it was Holy Week. There are a lot of, being on the cruise, there are a lot of things that people could have used as excuses to say, oh, I'm just going to kind of pack it in this month and I'll start again in April. And And that's fine, but it's hard to slow down, absolutely stop, and then overcome the inertia that it takes
Hmm.
to get going again.
Yeah.
And so those that were really wise said, okay, I'm not going to take the time off. I'm going to continue to build. I don't, I'm going to use the opportunity for getting together and talking with people to talk about these opportunities and the differences that it's made in my family and my friends and me individually. And so I think that was a good model. That really stood out to me. That just at the end of the day, if people are just going to say, I'm not going to let anything stand in my way. I've
Mm.
never, I've dreamed about doing these things, but I've never really known how I could do it. Now
Yeah.
I know how. Now it's out there for me. And now it's totally up to me. It's not me hoping that a door opens. It's not me hoping that somebody comes into my life. It's not me hoping that I win the lottery. This is me. It's all on me, and I'm going to take advantage of this opportunity. And that's really what was impressive to me about the
Yeah.
many examples that I experienced this month.
Yeah. 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 Absolutely. Well, we wish you were all on that trip with us. And we got to pinch ourselves sometimes and remind ourselves we are in the right place at the right time, and this is what it feels like. These are the good old days of ACTIVZ. So it was great to be on that trip with all of you. I'd encourage all of you to dig deep, believe in yourself, and get on the next trip. And so I think that's probably a good segue to talk about what's coming. Here we are, the middle of April, April 15th. For those of you who are running for the Momentum Escape Deluxe, and not the Momentum Escape, the 2-night trip. I'm not referring to that in the US or Global Connect, but the 4-night trip in Mexico, right? If you're running for that, and that's going to be the Riviera Maya, the 15th through the 19th of July. If you're running for that, we extended the period for pre-qualification to this month to include the month of April. So February, March, and April, you essentially have those 3 months to find 5 business partners. Of course, each one of those 5 needs to duplicate and you need to help them find 2 business partners. And then you have till the end of May to reach a minimum of Pro 5, ACTIVZ 5, A5, and then grow over the month of January. Okay. And then each person has an auto ship. Get the details online. But just as a reminder, you have the month of April. Okay. What does all that mean? It means that when you qualify, and these qualification requirements, I think the way I said them just made them sound really confusing. So I apologize for that. Check out the qualification requirements. They're very simple. 5 who get 2 reach A5, each person with an auto ship of 100 PV or more. You're going to get on the next trip. And we want to have hundreds of people on the next trip in July. We want to make, in Spanish, I like to say, bulla de buena, right? Which is like a loud, good noise, right? We want to create a groundswell from the Riviera Maya in Cancun. We want hundreds of people there with us. You don't want to miss out. David, you were just talking about Jeff Bose, who's with us, and he shared some incredible things. He put together VIP training for us. We've never done that in the history of ACTIVZ. Had a member of our medical or scientific advisory board join us. In July, Dr. Joe Maroon's going to be with us. Now, both he and Jeff have done over 15,000 surgeries. Jeff talked about that. He shared some research, which I was translating for him, and it was so exciting to hear him talk about new discoveries related to glutathione in the brain, the impact it has on the brain, the impact it has in terms of maintaining an overall healthy lifestyle, and NRF2 activation as it relates to that. He talked about, David, he talked about, 2 control groups or 2 groups, one that had type 2 diabetes and one that was a control group without diabetes. And their gut bacteria, those with diabetes, I'm just going to share this, with diabetes, were missing 4 key bacteria, and they happen to be the 4 bacteria responsible for producing butyric acid. And so the link between butyric acid, which we have in our product Link, right, and not just healthy gut health, proper gut health, but also maybe helping us avoid some of these more serious matters. I don't want to make any drug claims, but he talked a lot about that research, which was new to us. Dr. Joe Maroon is sure to impress as well in July. So if you want to hear that training that he's putting together for us, and by design, we're not recording these, we're not going to be posting them. You want these trainings, we want you to go on a trip with us, right? So you can kind of sit at the feet of these masters who are going to be talking about this research, talking about their own experiences working in medicine. You got to get there. You got to get there, because I know everybody, David, like you said, who attended the cruise and who was in that room with us listening to Jeff Bose, they're never going to forget that. They're never going to forget those stories and the research that he shared with us. So I'm excited about that. That's just coming right around the corner. And I think the other thing that I'm really excited about is we have an upcoming national event in June. You're all invited to attend. It's going to be in Mexico City. That's going to be a huge event. And I'm really, really excited to see how this year continues to grow. All the new stories, all the new rank advancements, all the success stories from individuals and from families. And guys, I want you to be part of that, right? Don't sit on the sidelines. If you've got a toe in the water, but you're kind of, you know if you're in or you're out, but you're kind of like, I mean, my upline doesn't call me anymore. I've kind of lost my enthusiasm. Don't give up on yourself. Don't quit on your dream, right? Jump in, stay plugged into what's happening, into the meetings, into the Zooms. Take action, right? Don't be reactive, be proactive. Plan what you're going to do. What videos are you going to send into whom? How many people are you going to meet every day? How many people are going to contact every day? How many presentations are you going to give every day? At least 1 or 2 a day, right? If you do that, you'll progress. If you're doing less than that, it'll be difficult for you to really progress much in this. So again, if you want to be at the top and really make this your turn, take action, right? That's my invitation. April is a great month to make that commitment. It's a month here in the US of new birth, new growth. Spring is all around us, and it represents new opportunities for you to recommit and really jump in with both feet. David, what are you excited about coming around the pipe, around the corner?
Well, just to dovetail with what you said, the only way that the cruise would have been better is to have more people with us. And
Yeah.
so we'd like to have more people with us and see you all in Cancun. If any of you have had a desire to ever attend a beautiful all-inclusive resort on one of the beautiful beaches on the Riviera Maya in Cancun, well, this is your chance. And it's a lot better to let us pay for it and let you and take somebody with you than to have to come out of pocket for it yourself. And again, as you do so, you'll build your business. If you've ever wanted the opportunity to be able to have some direct interaction with Jeff Bost or Dr. Joe Maroon, this is your opportunity. If you've ever, and I'm sure many of you have this dream, ever wanted to play soccer on the beach with Ryan Thompson, this is your chance. And more importantly, if you've ever wanted to see Ryan at the beach without his shirt on, this is your chance. I mean, there are
or David, or David in his swimming suit.
All types of dreams that are going to come true.
Dreams are coming true.
For this, and I think that I'm just well, actually, those things will happen. I doubt that they're anybody's dreams. They might well be your nightmares. But
I hope they're no one's dream. Put it that way.
But I do think that if you say, how do we do it? Well, it's exactly like Ryan said. We can talk all about how much our scientific advisory board believes in our products. We can talk about all manner of statistics in terms of how much our compensation plan pays. We can talk about how all the testimonials that people have of the health benefits of our products or of the compensation plan and what their checks are and all that kind of stuff. But at the end of the day, none of that happens. You get absolutely zero benefit. You don't produce more glutathione, more butyric acid, reduce inflammation if all of the trifecta bottles remain on the shelves and you simply look at them every day. You can look at them, you can think about them, you can ponder how great they are and be impressed with the science, but if you don't actually take them, you will not get any benefit. And the same thing's true of the business opportunity. You can think about it, you can say, oh, it'd be so great to be like Martina Lita, it'd be so great to be like Christina Godoy. And you can kind of picture yourself there. You can think about people that you should introduce this to. You can think about you can become a comp plant expert. But if you don't just pick up the phone and invite somebody else and share it every single day, and don't be caught up in terms of defining your success or failure by the results. You can't control the results. You can control the activity that leads to the results. And if you control those things, the fact that you're going to reach out, regardless of whether people say yes or no, and you're simply going to control what you can control by picking up the phone, making the visit, sending the email, sending the text, doing whatever, putting something out there on Instagram, whatever makes sense for you. And I realize it takes, it takes some courage, but you know what? It's one of those things that the more you do it, the more fun, the more delicious it will become to you, so to speak, and you'll like it, and those results will start becoming more positive. And so we think you can do it. And why do we think that you can do it? Is because you joined us in the first place. Something caused you to get off the sidelines. That's all you need. That same spark, that same degree of activity, now just manifested and repeated every single day, is what it takes. And we look forward to seeing you there.
All right. Thank you, David. And thank you all for joining us today. This call is a wrap. We'll see you same time, same place next month. Let's go hard and make some great things happen this month. Happy April, everybody. We'll see you very soon. And as always, we will see you at the top. Take care.
Thanks, Ryan. Thanks, everybody.